Welcome to another edition of Ed Talks. I'm with my friend Neil Gomes. Neil, welcome to Ed Talks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Looking
No,
forward to it.
I've been wanting to have you for a long time because I think you're one of the more creative people in health tech, and we're gonna jump into some of that creativity. And it's always interesting, right? When I speak with creative people, there's usually multifaceted. They're not just creative just on the tech side, but also in the arts. And you're a fine example of that because of your love for music. Tell us about your music background.
Great. Yeah, well, it's not much of a background in music. It's just something that I like doing and gives me a lot of peace and, allows me to go to this different zone when you're trying to relax and always enjoyed it. I both perform, I play the guitar, the piano, the ukulele, and I sing. I love singing. So that's really my passion with music.
Oh, that's awesome. And I know I'm witness to the singing part because at Vi in our speakeasy, we had someone from The Voice and American Idol on. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at it, it's like Neil's like singing away and having a great time. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you give me that opportunity and I'll do it anytime.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. How did the love for music begin? Like since you're a kid, do your parents
Oh,
expose
yes.
you or how?
Yeah, it's my dad mostly. He was a big music aficionado, different types of music, and he would bring new types of CDs home, or that time first cassette tapes, and then it became CDs. And he always exposes, even to videos of like, I still remember a video of James Last. I don't know if you know him, but he's this the kind of person that would do different songs, but with orchestras. And yeah, so that's he put that into me, I guess. He even I thought initially I was named after Neil Armstrong, but he told me no, it was Neil Young, and so that was another reason for me to get into music, I guess.
That is so cool. That is really cool. So, how did you get into health tech? So, tell us a little bit about your journey going from this musical, growing up for an artsy family and becoming one of the leaders in health tech.
Yeah, I don't think we were an artsy family because my dad loved music, but he was an accountant, far from artsy. But he had this creative edge to him too, and I guess I picked that up from him. My mom was an educator; she was a teacher in the government school systems back in India. It is now. So, um, and how I got into healthcare was more from a service kind of standpoint. My mom was in education, as I mentioned, always worked with the folks that were most disadvantaged, who would come to the government school systems in India. And she always taught us, and many times she made us teach also. So I used to go and teach in school when I had some time because she wanted to see how we perform as educators, and she thought that I would become one. And I did for some time. And my digital journey really started not in healthcare but in education. So I helped build a few companies early on when things were moving to digital in the education space. And then that journey led me into healthcare because, education and healthcare many times coexist, right? And they're both really good service areas if you want to do some good for the world, for people around the world. If you get into education, you get the chance to inform people and build their careers, right? And then if you get into healthcare, you get to the chance to treat them. Maybe not as a doc for me, I couldn't do that, but at least a technologist to help them out. So that's how I got into it. When I was at the University of South Florida building digital education, I got noticed by the CEO of USF Health, who then wanted me to come over to the healthcare side. And so I accidentally fell into healthcare thanks to Steve Glasgow, who was the CEO at USF Health at the time.
Yeah, he's one of the great old time leaders, healthcare for sure. He went to TJ, to Thomas
Yeah.
Jefferson, and you followed, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's how I
Yeah,
got to
so,
Jeff.
and that's
Yeah.
where we did. Yeah, tell us about
Yeah.
what you do in there.
Yeah, so Jefferson was just an awesome time for me because Steve wanted me there, Steve Plasko, the CEO, Dr. Plasko. And so I was there for 6 years. I worked as the Chief Digital Officer and the EVP for Tech Innovation and Consumer Experience. And I thought it was a great experience for me because I could do so many different things. I wasn't just the Chief Digital Officer. I got to do work in the innovation pillar, digital marketing, and really move the organization, even the implementation of the EHR. At the time, we were implementing Epic. So got to participate deeply in that, run support teams and such. And Steve trusted us to do a lot of things. Any of the things that really needed to get done quickly, he would bring to our teams. And so we built a pretty large team, almost like an agency or a company inside the company that could execute on these things. And that's when we met, I remember. And that was a great time. Thank you for inviting us to come and speak out and speak to your teams at the Cleveland Clinic. I brought a couple of my team members and we got to interact with you all, and that was awesome.
Yeah, I remember that vividly. And I was super impressed with all the different things that you all were doing at Jefferson and other places, helping other people like us at the clinic and really, get more principled on the concept of design. Tell us a little bit about design. Like that could be a foreign concept to some, but when we talk about digital, human-centered design, things like that, like how would you explain it?
Yeah, well, I think they're very deeply connected because digital is sometimes some people ask me, what's the difference between digital and technology as such, right? And I say to them, it's not a big difference really, except for this one very important thing, maybe two important things. One important thing is that with digital, you're not just deploying technologies, right? You're not just putting technologies out there to help the organization. You're doing it in a way that actually helps you build the business, add value to the business, right? So you've got that mindset behind you. And then secondly, you're looking at it from a consumer lens. If I'm the person consuming this service, product, whatever you're trying to sell, is that experience good? And to do all of these things, to understand the business problem and to determine what the people that you're trying to sell to want, you have to understand human-centered design, because this is all humans working to build these types of services and products, right? And so you got to understand what gets them to work, what gets them to work better, what gets them to have a better experience as they consume these products and services. And so without human-centered design, you will fail, I feel. Human-centered design on the business value side enables us to find the real problem before we build a solution, right? Because many times you may encounter a problem, but that's not the real problem or the reason why an outcome is negative at this point, right? It may be a few steps below that. It may be on the ground level. And human-centered design allows you to find that, appreciate that situation, and then find what the real problem is. And on the consumer side, human-centered design helps you put yourself in the shoes of that consumer, understand them really well, do the research before building something to understand what would be of value to them.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. And Neil, not only are you an expert with all things digital and human-centered design, but also you're a great leader. And if I put you on the spot, like, share with me one thing. I know it's top of mind, but like one thing that you'd want to impart to leaders that are now maturing, right? They're maybe in a generation below you and are going to eventually, be the leaders in healthcare. What's the one thing you would say to them?
Oh, well, I'd have to first market a little bit my old team. I don't know if you remember, but my coffee mug here has the DICE group on it. We call ourselves the Digital Innovation and Experience Group at Jefferson. And that was a real team, right? A team of people that we built from scratch. I had two people when I joined the organization on my team. And even those two people, the way we built that team was participating with them, finding out, not just applying that same human-centered design kind of approach to even the selection process, to find out what drove people. Why did they want to come to healthcare? Were they driven by the mission or just, the job? And if it was just the job, then probably not the right place for them to be, because the mission had to kind of drive them, give them purpose in their lives. And I think that's really important. And then just treat people with respect and care. Same way that my mentors treated me. Steve, for example, is an amazing mentor and a great person. To anyone that walked into his office, he treated them really well. And I've had leaders like that, give back the same way that I got. And I think for generations that are thinking of getting into this space, first of all, it's a great time to get into both healthcare and the digital side of health. It needs really, really creative people at this point in time. People that understand things like AI and at some point even quantum, and not just understand, but want to apply it to this very unique and very important space that's important to all of our lives. So I would say be curious, be creative, right? And try to understand what value you can give to an organization associated with its mission.
Neil, I was just asked for one thing. You just dropped me like 10 amazing ideas for our listeners. It was great. It was like a whole episode in 30 seconds, but you're an amazing person, most importantly, amazing person, friend, musician. But I love the fact you're a digitalist, you're in healthcare, you're a designer, you're a leader. Clearly, I asked you, as I said, for one thing, and I wrote down, I couldn't keep up. I wrote down 7 or 8 different things.
Thank you.
Just golden. I really appreciate you, Neil. Thank you for being part of EdTalks.